Hello, and welcome to Angel Print Creative, a place that brings you back to the warmth of youth and emotional healing through beautiful animated visuals. Today, I'll take you on a journey to listen to the story of a young girl named Maya and her life's journey through both the storms and the sunshine. Leaving home was the very first choice I made as an adult. I still remember the day I packed my entire life into one worn-out suitcase and a heavy backpack. As the bus pulled into the heart of Phnom Penh, the evening sun was setting, painting the towering skyscrapers in shades of burning orange and deep purple. Through the window, the city looked massive, alive, and breathtakingly beautiful. But the moment my feet touched the cold concrete of the station, a wave of anxiety hit me. Thousands of strangers hurried past me, everyone rushing somewhere completely indifferent to a small-town girl with nothing but big dreams. The air smelled of exhaust fumes and street food, a sharp contrast to the fresh green air of my hometown. I gripped the handle of my suitcase tighter, feeling incredibly small. I thought I was ready for this new chapter, but as I watched the city lights flicker to life, I realized that standing in a crowd of millions can sometimes be the loneliest feeling in the world. It didn't take long for my grand vision of city life to shrink into the four walls of a tiny, dim studio apartment. The room was cold, filled with half-unpacked cardboard boxes, a thin mattress on the floor, and a wooden desk stacked high with my new college textbooks. Every evening, after long hours of university lectures, I would come back to this silence. There were no family dinners waiting for me, no sound of my mother humming in the kitchen, and no laughter filling the hallway. One rainy night, I sat on the floor, eating a simple cup of instant noodles, staring at the steam rising into the air. Outside my window, the neon billboards of the city blurred through the thick night mist, flashing in bright reds and blues. The city was throwing a party, but I wasn't invited. In that quiet room, the hum of the refrigerator felt deafening. For the first time, I learned the bittersweet truth about independence. It doesn't always feel like freedom. Sometimes it just feels like a heavy, silent emptiness. But I quickly learned that loneliness is a luxury the poor cannot afford. Loneliness couldn't pay my monthly rent, nor could it buy my textbooks. So the next morning, I tucked my fears away, printed out a dozen copies of my resume, and walked the busy streets under a heavy, overcast sky. I spent days moving from shop to shop, library to library, looking for any part-time job that could fit around my class schedule. Managing my own budget meant counting every single coin, weighing the cost of a bus ride against a proper meal. It was exhausting, but it was my reality. Late that night, as I finally lay in bed, the glow of my phone screen lit up the dark room. A notification popped up, a message from my parents with a picture of a simple, home-cooked dinner they had together. A single tear escaped my eye, warm against my cheek. I missed them so much it physically ached. I wanted to call, to cry, to tell them how hard it was, but I didn't want them to worry. I wiped the tear away, typed a quick, "I'm doing great, don't worry," and closed my eyes, hoping that tomorrow the heavy clouds in my heart would finally begin to clear. Amidst the chaos of city life and university lectures, a soft ray of sunshine finally broke through my heavy clouds. I buried myself in my studies, determined to make my family proud, unaware that someone was watching me from across the room. He was a fellow student in my department, warm, bright, and always carrying a gentle smile. While others saw me as just a quiet girl from the countryside, he saw something else. He told me later that he fell for my dedication, the way my eyes lit up whenever I solved a complex graphic design or accounting problem, and how I remained top of the class despite working part-time. At first, it was just small gestures, leaving a warm can of coffee on my desk with a sticky note containing encouraging words, or offering to share his notes when I looked tired. Slowly, the cold library didn't feel so isolating anymore, because every time I looked up, his warm eyes were there, anchoring me to the present. It didn't take long for his warmth to melt the icy walls I had built around my heart. Our shared study sessions slowly turned into evening walks along the riverside. I still remember the rainy afternoon when the sky poured without warning. We only had one small umbrella between us. He held it tightly, leaning it completely towards my side, entirely unbothered that his own shoulder was getting completely soaked. In that crowded, rainy city, under that tiny umbrella, our shoulders brushed against each other, and my heart beat with a rhythm I had never felt before. We laughed at the simplest things, enjoyed street food together, and discovered hidden cafes where we could talk for hours. For the first time since moving to the city, I wasn't just surviving, I was truly happy. He became my safe haven, a beautiful pink hue added to my otherwise gray world. The definitive moment came on a quiet evening at our favorite rooftop cafe, overlooking the glowing city lights. The cool breeze gently ruffled my curly hair. He looked into my eyes, his expression serious yet incredibly tender, and confessed his feelings. He said he didn't just want to be the boy who left coffee on my desk. He wanted to be the one who stood by my side through every storm and every sunny day. Hearing those words, the loneliness that had weighed on my chest for months completely evaporated. As he gently took my hand under the warm glow of the fairy lights, I realized that the city wasn't so cold after all. I had found a beautiful love, a partner who loved me for who I am, and a sweet motivation to keep fighting for my dreams. But human hearts, much like the changing weather of this massive city, can turn cold without a single warning. The beautiful pink hue that had suddenly colored my gray world slowly began to fade under the heavy, crushing weight of reality. As the university semester grew more demanding, our world shrunk into an endless maze of exhausting lectures, late-night assignments, and the constant stress of my part-time job. The long, beautiful conversations we used to share slowly turned into rushed text messages. A heavy, suffocating silence began to creep into the spaces where our laughter used to live. And then, the quiet shadows of doubt appeared in my mind. It started with the smallest, most insignificant things. A phone call he answered in a hushed, nervous voice, a text message he quickly hid from my sight, or the casual way he started talking about other girls in our department. For a girl like me, who had already lost so much and felt so incredibly insecure in this giant city, my mind began to create a dangerous storm of its own. Jealousy wasn't just a fleeting emotion. It felt like a cold, toxic fog that slowly began to poison the only safe haven I had ever found since moving here. Every night I lay awake, wondering if the love that saved me was already slipping through my fingers. Those unspoken doubts and hidden fears soon erupted into sharp, biting words. We began to argue over the simplest things, our daily conversations turning into a bitter battlefield of endless misunderstandings. I questioned his honesty because my heart was terrified of being abandoned, and he questioned my trust because he was tired of being judged. Every single explanation he gave felt like a practiced excuse, and every long silence from him felt like a quiet confession of guilt. One rainy evening, inside a crowded, dimly lit coffee shop, our quiet whispers finally escalated into a painful argument. I looked across the table, desperate for him to see the depth of my fears, desperate for him to hold my hand and tell me everything was going to be okay. But all he saw was a girl who was constantly suspicious, a girl who was suffocating him with mistrust. The beautiful warmth that once defined his eyes was entirely replaced by deep frustration and absolute exhaustion. Sitting there, watching him shake his head in disappointment, I realized the most heartbreaking truth of all. The person who had once beautifully healed my loneliness had now become the very source of my deepest, most agonizing heartbreak. The breaking point finally came on a dark, stormy night when the city sky poured its grief relentlessly over the concrete streets. We stood on the cold pavement outside, the freezing wind blowing heavily between us, creating a massive, invisible wall that neither of us knew how to cross anymore. In the heat of our anger and pain, words were spoken that could never be taken back, words that cut deeper into my soul than any sharp knife ever could. He looked at me one last time, his eyes cold and distant, before turning away. I stood frozen as his silhouette slowly disappeared into the heavy, pouring rain, leaving me standing there completely and utterly alone. Under that dark, unforgiving sky, the freezing rain washed over my face, but it could never wash away the burning, bitter tears streaming down my cheeks. My hands trembled violently as I clutched my wet jacket, feeling infinitely colder and more helpless than the very first day I arrived in this city. The beautiful love I thought would protect me from the world had shattered into 1,000 jagged pieces, leaving my heart completely broken, vulnerable, and lost in the middle of the storm. They say that after a storm, the sky clears, but for me, the heavy clouds only grew thicker and darker. With my heart completely shattered from the breakup, I didn't even have the luxury to lock myself in my room and cry. The monthly rent was still due, my tuition fees were piling up, and the cold reality of life demanded that I keep moving. Every single day after leaving the exhausting university lecture halls, I had to drag my numb body to my part-time job at a busy local cafe. There, my broken spirit became an easy target. The manager was relentless, piling mountains of work on my shoulders and blaming me for every small mistake, completely blind to how hard I was trying. Customers would look down on me, treating me like I was invisible, their harsh words and impatient sighs cutting into my fragile confidence. One afternoon, after a customer spilled a drink and blamed it entirely on me, I stood behind the counter, washing dishes as the hot tears mixed with the soapy water. I had to bite my lower lip so hard to keep from sobbing out loud. I was working myself to the bone, yet it felt like no matter how hard I ran, I was still losing the battle to survive in this unforgiving city. I thought that at least at university, I could find a small escape. I thought the friends I had shared my dreams with, the ones I spent countless nights studying with, would be my safe zone. But I was wrong. The corporate culture of competition and the hunger for top grades slowly began to change the people I thought I knew. I started noticing the sudden, awkward silences whenever I walked into the classroom. I saw the hidden glances, the cold shoulders, and the subtle ways they began to exclude me from group assignments and study circles. The breaking point came when I accidentally overheard them talking behind my back in the empty hallway. The very friends who used to smile in my face were now whispering bitter lies, mocking my background, and making fun of how stressed I looked balancing my job and studies. They twisted my quietness into arrogance, using my vulnerability as a stepping stone to make themselves feel superior. Standing frozen behind the concrete pillar, holding my textbooks tightly against my chest, the pain of their betrayal felt worse than physical violence. The world I had built in this city wasn't just cold anymore. It felt entirely hostile, surrounded by people who wore masks of friendship but carried knives of jealousy. By the end of the month, the loneliness and betrayal had entirely consumed me. I felt like a ghost walking through my own life. My grades started to slip because my mind was too exhausted to focus, and my body was constantly aching from the endless hours of work. Every door I tried to open felt like it was slammed in my face. I looked around the crowded campus, surrounded by thousands of students laughing and talking, yet I felt completely marooned on a solitary island. Every evening, I would walk back to my tiny apartment under a dark, suffocating sky, the heavy clouds reflecting the absolute darkness inside my soul. I began to ask myself if coming to this city was a massive mistake. Had I been too naive to believe that a small-town girl like me could ever survive here? The constant battles at work, the broken love, and the fake friends had successfully stripped away every ounce of hope I once possessed. I was entirely drowning in a sea of exhaustion, staring out the window at the cold city lights, utterly convinced that the sun would never rise for me again. There is a moment in the dark when you feel like you've reached the very bottom, where the weight of the world is too heavy to bear. That was me, curled up on the floor of my dark room, ready to pack my bags and run back to the safety of my hometown. I felt like an absolute failure. But just as I was about to let the darkness win, my phone buzzed in the quiet room. It was a voice note from my mother, and in the background I could hear my father's deep, reassuring laughter. My mother didn't ask about my grades, nor did she ask about my money. She simply said, "Maya, remember that no matter how big the city is, you carry the strength of our whole family within you. We love you, and we are always proud of you." Hearing her soft, gentle voice, something inside me snapped. The tears came rushing out again, but this time they weren't tears of helplessness. They were tears of relief. I realized that even though I was alone in this apartment, I was never truly abandoned. The roots of my strength were still buried deep in the warm earth of my home, and they were giving me the courage to breathe again. The next morning, the rain finally stopped, leaving the city streets clean, fresh, and sparkling under the early morning sun. I walked over to the bathroom sink, splashed cold water on my face, and looked at my reflection in the mirror. The shadows under my eyes were still there, but the hollow, defeated look was gone. I picked up a comb, brushed through my messy, curly brown hair, and tied it back firmly. I made a silent promise to myself. I would no longer allow the coldness of this city, the words of fake friends, or a broken relationship to define my worth. I sat down at my small wooden desk and opened a brand new notebook. I began to write down my goals, organizing my budget down to the last single coin, and planning my study schedule with absolute precision. I realized that the obstacles at my part-time job were just lessons in resilience, and the betrayal of my friends was just a sign to filter my circle. I was a young woman with a university degree to earn and a future of financial freedom to build. If the heavy clouds wanted to block my sun, I would just learn how to grow in the rain. When I stepped out of my apartment building that day, the air smelled of wet earth and fresh leaves. The green trees lining the Phnom Penh streets seemed more vibrant than ever before. As I walked onto the university campus, I held my head up high. When I passed by the friends who had whispered behind my back, I didn't look away in shame. I simply offered them a calm, polite smile and kept walking. Their words no longer had power over me. At work, I focused on my tasks with a newfound confidence, handling every challenge with grace and sharp focus. Looking up at the vast blue sky, a beautiful rainbow stretched across the horizon, cutting through the remaining mist. I smiled, feeling a deep, unshakable peace in my heart. The heavy clouds had tried to break me, but instead, they only washed away my fears and made me stronger. I am Maya. I am no longer the scared girl who stepped off the bus. I am a fighter, a dreamer, and I am finally ready to conquer this city on my own terms, walking boldly into a bright, beautiful future.